Okay. And for the next race we got, you know, it's your boy, Sammy, Team Canada versus Brazil. So throughout the first 2 weeks, I want to say that Canada really had only two teams on their radar, which was one being France, who, as unanimous as it can get, we decided was the best team out of our group. So we had nothing but eyes on France from start to currently, from week 1 to week 3, and then Brazil, because apart from France, we thought Brazil was also good in terms of their showing against their opponents and how they would take the same opponents we raced and beat them. So we figured, if anything, we'd compare more to Brazil than we did France, but we thought we also could take France when it came to it. But this one, oh man, where do I start with this one? Because this one was all over the place, especially for Team Canada. Okay, let me start with something. I'm gonna get this off my chest. So this, I don't know what it was. We've raced many teams across different time zones, different parts of the world. However, what I don't know what it was with this race, but man, the ping was ridiculous in this race. Although Crusher did make a point that ping would probably affect them as well. In terms of ping affecting me, I was in probably the worst spot possible because I was a brawler class. So if you're a brawler and you can't ram, which is the name of your game, obviously you got some of the highest top speed in the game, but you also need boost. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and drift with a brawler the entire race because its acceleration is horrible and it's not gonna keep me in top speed. So I'm looking to ram, and if I can't ram, it takes a huge element out of my game. Granted, if you're a trickster, you can get away without having to ram really. A defender, the same. A speedster, you're not even really looking to ram. So the ones who would be affected by this the most would be brawlers. However, it felt like I was the only brawler in this race being affected by this. We have also had Reach from our team saying she's been affected by the bad ping. At one point, I could have took first place in a race, and I got phantom rammed midair. I had no one beside me, and I believe it was Wolfgang that ran me midair out of the map. And I was like, what the hell? I went from being top 3 position and finishing, I think, in last place. It was crazy.
Dang, you remember what match it was?
I honestly couldn't tell you if it was definitely factory. The first factory with Ralph.
Okay,
And I can't
okay,
remember what
okay.
order factory was in. If you could tell me, then that's the race. Cause I have a last place finish here. That's the only last place finish I have.
I do know. I think in week 3 there were 2 factory
Yes, the
maps.
first factory map I did horribly on. The second factory map I came third.
Okay, dang. So that really took you out of commission, man.
Yeah, man, we was banking on that race because we was all in solid positions. Because Crusher was fighting for that top spot, but I was sitting on Crusher and I was about to advance past him. And once I got taken out, there was none of that because Crusher would have probably came in second and I would have had the first spot. So we would have locked the top 2 positions while Reach being in a favorable position in the middle. And I believe it was I think it was Matt that was racing. He was even in last place. So if we were able to take the top 2 spots, we would have been in a better position in terms of leaderboard standings from the I believe the 4th race onwards.
Yeah, that just goes to show how fast the whole game could switch up on you, man. Like you being
Mm-hmm.
such a good position for a good duration of the race, and then one thing could switch up and completely shift the standings. and it could even be something like your fault, not your fault. Like
This
it's
it's honestly crazy. This
yeah,
week
man.
was up and down only because, like I said, I wasn't the only one on our team that performed poorly. No, it was our first sub, which was nice. Matt, he was solid. There's only so much you could do as a speedster. So the fact that he was able to, in one race, come in third place, which was very solid for us, did help us. That was race 5. But yeah, Reach, arguably one of our best players on the team, at some points did worse than me, which was, for me surprising because I gave Reach her flowers in the last recap and said, "Hey man, I love to have Reach on my team because if she was on the other team, I'd be afraid." So,
Yeah, man. I mean, Reach. I'm not gonna lie, man. This World Cup is definitely putting me on the Reach because I have been keeping my eyes on Reach because she has been performing really well for Team Canada. So it was really interesting to see how you guys would do versus Team Brazil. Um, Aside from the ping issues,
hmm
I think you guys definitely fought. Brazil, I'm not gonna lie, man, they showed resilience. You
yes,
know,
they did.
it looked like they were giving you guys trouble. You know, they were playing very tight pack, like you were telling me. It felt like they were playing in little mini groups.
Yep,
Like there was never like one alone. So,
never that.
shout out to their teamwork.
Definitely. I do want to give Brazil their flowers because, like Nano just said, I did express to him before we even got on recording that Brazil pulled off some strategy I haven't even seen. So everyone by now has at least touched or seen team mode in Speedstorm, and essentially how Brazil was racing was like they took the team mode element, and even though we're all individual races and we can stun each other, even though we're racing for the same team, Brazil was racing like they was in team mode the entire time. They was in packs, and if they weren't in a pack of 4 advancing together, they were in duos advancing together. It was one race in Castle. This is the race that Crusher didn't do so well on. I believe it's actually race 5. For the longest time, um, I was actually behind 2 Brazilian players, and I couldn't get past them. I was struggling to pass both of them because it wasn't just one I had to worry about, it was 2. So even when I did pass one, the other one would stun me. And then I'm back in the position that I started off with, and I have to figure out a way to pass him again. It was only till the last lap, and we was like maybe 100 meters from the finish line. Crusher was right behind me. I said, "Crusher, go ahead. I got a fire skill." He went off, and I blew that place up. I passed both of them, and they both came in a unfavorable position at that point. But that
Yep.
goes to show, like, for the entire race, if they're able to keep one player behind on their team and they got 2 people ahead of that racer, it means they're gonna efficiently bankroll on the most amount of points possible. And so what I was telling to Crusher at one point in the race, I was like, "Crusher, man, it's nice that you get in first place in some of these races, but at this point, it doesn't even matter if you top in the first spot because the way that Brazil's playing, we got to counterplay that. And we're not playing in a favorable strategy to counterplay that because you're off by yourself and they don't care that you're off by yourself. That's why they're not really giving you much trouble. Their main focus is to keep us now, the 3 of us, in the bottom positions because they know if as long as they're in the 2, 3, 4, 5 position, they're gonna win the entire series. You know what I mean? My brain was already on this since the 3rd race. So I was already looking ahead. I could already foretell what the future was gonna entail for us because I could already see the writing on the wall. But no one wanted to switch up the strategy, and I was just like, "Damn, man."
Nah, man. Yeah, I don't blame Crusher, man. That's a risky strategy because here's the thing: your defender is always supposed to be fighting in the top. If they back off just to be with the group, they're giving away the possibility to snag top top position points, and there's no guarantee if Crusher falls back with the team that he's going to be able to fight through Brazil's team in the top. So it's a double edged sword, and I think you guys are better off just continuing with what you guys are doing.
See, I can agree and also disagree. It is a double-edged sword, and it was beneficial that Crusher's in the top spot because, in terms of points differential, when we have to come back around, it could help us in the long run. But at the same time, my mindset was, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessarily that Crusher had to fall back in the top spot. If he was in first place, I wasn't saying Crusher, you're in first place, jump to third place, try to give us some help. I was really saying Crusher in the start of the next race, instead of going off as quick as possible and holding the top spot, hang back with us so we can obliterate these guys and create some space, some gappage, and we can have a top three group and hold that position for the majority of the race.
Yeah, I mean, but that's no risky too.
It's
Because
it's
what if
risky,
Crusher
yeah.
hangs? What if Crusher hangs with y'all? And what if all you guys get obliterated? Now Brazil got three members in the top, and you guys are fighting just to get some top spots. So it's really uh it's really a double edged sword play, and it's but I do admire you trying to think on the fly because sometimes you gotta think of strategies on the fly, man. That's what competing. What happens when you compete. You never know what type of position you'll be in.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, I get it's real risky. It'll be risky for anybody to do that. But at the same time, I was banking more on Team Canada's comms being the edge that we had to surpass Brazil in terms of being in a position like that. Because we're real nice on the comms. So I know that if
Hmm.
we were to implement that strategy, I don't think Brazil would have a counter for that. The
And
problem
you think
is,
so? Because I ain't
yeah,
gonna
I
lie,
think so,
Brazil nice
man.
on the cons too. I
Bra-
might not understand what they're saying, but they definitely sound like they were structured.
Hey, man, Brazil might be nice on the comms, but we're nice on the comms in English. You know what I mean?
Oh, I feel you, but that that okay. So that's one thing I was really I wanted to ask you.
Hmm.
I tried looking for Crusher's perspective of y'all race, but it looks like he doesn't save his VODs.
Yes,
So
that's another thing. I
it
was trying to look for it too.
is that like something he does on purpose, or like what's up with that?
Honestly, I don't know. But if he does do it on purpose, it's probably so you guys can't learn from us.
I mean, it's a possibility, but you should ask him about it because I think that's something you guys could use to learn too.
That is true. I will
Watch
say,
watch
in
some
terms of
gameplay.
this week, our comms
Hmm.
wasn't the best, only because we had just implemented Matt for the first time this week, and he hasn't been accustomed to us like talking with each other on comms. Even though, granted, it's still fairly new to us because in week two we're all on comms together, but this week, it had some getting used to because Matt wasn't really used to most of the terminology. Even though we gave him a rundown about, I want to say, an hour before we started the race, and we did do some practice just with the comms so he could get what we were talking about before the race. But honestly, I
Hmm.
would say Matt was a great addition this week. The fact that he was able to position himself in third for at least one race was pretty solid for us because it did help us in terms of keeping things close. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to Jack Santa, the team captain, for always showing up, even though Speedsters aren't the best class for this series of tournaments right now, and they really struggling. So the fact that he doesn't give up and he's always determined to show out with us, I got to give him his flowers. But yeah, Brazil
Yeah, man.
definitely, they were the better team this week, and also just the strategy they implemented. I want to say I touched on this a bit earlier off recording, but in terms of how they went about hosting, I picked up on after the second race. I noticed that okay, so in the beginning we were set on hosting the first four races. We didn't care if we were hosting first or hosting second. But off bat, Brazil, like we was just about to get started, Brazil offered to host. And we was like, yeah, sure, whatever, it don't matter to us. But as we got to, I want to say the third race, I noticed something. Based on how you entered the room of the host, is how you'd be positioned at the start of the race. So if Brazil decides to host a
Oh,
race.
is that? Is
Yes,
that really how it works?
yes. So if Brazil
Mm.
decides to host a race, I'm spitting game for all of you guys right now. So take notes and pay attention. If whatever team decides to host a race, right? If you bring all
Mhm.
of your players in there into the room first, you guys are guaranteed the top four position spots in the race. The other team that comes in, if they all come in into the room, like let's say, okay, Brazil and Canada, best example. Brazil's hosting. I don't know who's hosting the room. We'll say Wolfgang's hosting the room. Wolfgang's the first person in the room. That means he has the first position at the beginning of the race. Rugel comes in the room second, so he has the second top position in the start of the race. Matthias, he comes in the room third, so he has the third top spot in the start of the race. And Nunn, he's in the room fourth, so he has the fourth spot in the beginning of the race. And so when Team Canada comes in, it don't matter what order we come in, we're in the back. E- every race we starting in the back. So I noticed, I think it was the first race we was at was it Great Wall? I think it was Great Wall. And I was like, "Oh, cuz I chose Great Wall. Okay, so they chose we all chose Great Wall because that's the first race you got to go to. But I chose Triton. And the reason why I chose Triton is because the track is narrow in Great Wall and you'll be able to get off your tidal wave to stun a lot of people, keep boost, maintain boost. And I noticed Wolfgang, he was a brawler too. He chose Triton. And I said, okay, that's cool, but I just got to get ahead of him. Problem was, I was in the back as Triton. You don't want to be in the back as Triton. Even if you get your unique to go off, there's no one behind you to really give you boost, and you're not really affecting nobody at that point. So that plan was already out the window. But guess who benefited from being at the front? Wolfgang. The minute he was able to get his first unique with Triton, he was coasting, literally coasting.
Damn.
And once I saw that in the second and third race, I really put my team on notice. I was like, listen, man, Brazil really knew what the hell they were doing when they said they wanted to host because they decided to host and they have all the top spots to start off in the race, which gave them the advantage that they needed in certain points in the race. So, like I said, with Great Wall, with Wolfgang being in first place and being able to get off his unique quick, it affected everyone at the beginning of the race and even for the rest of the race because instead of my Triton being at the top favorable spot, I'm in the back end because I don't have anyone to use my unique on. And on top of that, I'm getting stunned the entire time I have boost. So I don't even have boost anymore. I'm losing boost and I'm trying to gain boost and I can't do nothing because I'm just getting washed away by a tidal wave. So that is one thing that every team needs to pay attention to now. It's not just when you flip or rotate hosts that everyone has better favorable ping. It's also when a team chooses to host, you better make sure your team mix matches with the other team in terms of positioning. Otherwise, if you have a team like Brazil take uh the first four spots in the room, they're gonna have the top spots to start the race off. And that means your team starts in the back. You don't want that. Like had we hosted and Crusher was in the room first, and maybe Wolfgang was in the second, and I was in their third, it would have made things more balanced. But when you host a room and your whole team is in there first, they have the more favorable position to start off the race because now you're starting in the back. So that's one thing I wanted to get off my chest about that.
Okay, okay. Yeah, man, you sounded very passionate about
Yes,
that,
sir,
man. I
man.
actually
Yes,
didn't.
sir.
He was like, hold on, man. They duping us.
I'm surprised you didn't even know that. So now that you know that, that's another strategy you got to worry about.
It is, it is. But, I always tell my, literally, I was just talking to my team about like how there's so much stuff to learn in this game to where like I'm always constantly learning. Hey, you just taught me something. I actually didn't know that. So, my team's about to start practicing soon, so we're definitely
Yeah, practice being in
gonna
the
pay
back.
attention to that.
Practice as your team being in the back and your subs being in the front. If you can practice, no, no, I'm serious. If you can practice that and figure out how to get through that as a team, if you have to run across a team like Brazil who knows about this, you'll be in a better favorable position because you know how to counter that. We didn't know how to counter that because we didn't know that was a thing till at the last minute.
hmm
And once we knew that was a thing, we made sure we were all in the room at the same time. And that's why, if you notice on the spreadsheet, our stats looked a lot better. But at that point, we was already fighting tooth and nail, and we was trying harder because the first four races, or I want to say the last three races after the first race, we wasn't doing so well. But once I had figured that out, my team made sure that we were the first four in the room first, and then we invited Brazil.
Okay, okay. Hey, man. Well, that's good because even though you guys ended up not getting the W on that one, it seems like you guys learned a viable strategy. So
Oh yeah, man, we
you
learned
guys
a
didn't
lot
come
of
out
strategies.
empty-handed.
We learned a lot from this
Yeah, man.
race.
But
Brazil, thanks
yo,
for teaching us a few
for
tricks.
for sure. I was just about to say shout outs to Brazil because from the beginning, Brazil has always looked like they're definitely trying to take that number one spot, man. You could just tell how they race and how they
Yep.
communicate and the passion and the effort they put into practice and stuff like that. It looked like they you know, they're really warming up to
Oh
the
yeah.
competitive environment. So it's definitely gonna be hard for teams going up against them. That's why I can't wait to see Brazil versus France because that's gonna be an insane clash.
Hey man, if I
So
gotta watch that while I race, so be it.
yeah, man, I'm definitely gonna be taking my notes on that match, man. I'm gonna be eyes glued. So
Myself included.
hmm
But
but it's gonna be lit, man. It's gonna be lit.
in terms of shout outs, I definitely want to give two shout outs to Wolfgang and Mateus, both playing extremely well with 52 and 51 points respectively. But I also want to give a shout out to Crusher because he was our standout for this week with 56 points and the highest point total in the entire race series. He kept us afloat. The same thing we've been saying about Manji for the last 2 weeks, keeping Belgium afloat. Crusher was the one keeping us afloat. We just didn't show up. We were the others this time.
Yeah, man, Crusher, y'all star player, man.
Yes, sir. And now we definitely know if Crusher's better than Reach. But don't worry, Reach. You still got France. You said you wanted France. So if I see some work, there's still a chance I'll put you above Crusher. But for right now, Crusher has a slight edge. But yeah, like I said, man,
What,
Reach.
is that something y'all been like talking about or something?
What?
Or is that like something like where you weren't sure like if Crusher's better than Reach or whatnot?
Oh no! From the beginning, I knew Crusher was a better player, but I didn't know much on Reach. But ever since Reach been, getting dubs here and there, I was like, man, Crusher, Reach might be the best on our team, low key. I've been giving Reach her
Hey,
flowers, man.
but it's so crazy though.
What's up?
Even though Crusher is probably like the better player, I don't know exactly how long Reach has been playing this game for. I don't know if you have like intel on that.
I don't, but I can always ask.
Yeah, but if
Oh, wait, I do
here,
know. She's been playing since early access.
Okay, so it's pretty much around the same time as Crusher.
Yeah.
But Crusher. One thing I will say about Crusher is, Crusher has the benefit of he's been in competitive Speedstorm for a long time. Reach is
Yes.
getting her feet wet, so you
Exactly.
never know down the line
Her
how she might
potential is
evolve and
limitless,
upgrade as
man.
a player. hmm So I think it'll be nice, man. I want to race Reach one of these days, man. Have some series of races and see what happens. So shout outs to Team Canada, Sammy, Reach, Crusher, Matt, and Jack Sansa. You guys are a strong team. Definitely don't look down about the L. Just take it and use it as fuel for the next
Oh
matchup versus
nah,
Belgium.
we coming back, man. We can't let Belgium get this win because, like I said earlier, off the recording, man. If we let Belgium take this, it's gonna put us in a bad position. I mean, not really, because if you guys come in first place and we go to the knockout stage and we in fourth place, we get to race you.
You saying it's a possibility that I might see the Reach matchup
Yeah,
sooner
man.
than expected? Hey,
Most
we'll see,
definitely.
man. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it, man. We're definitely gonna try our best to get that number one spot, man. So we'll see.
Yeah, we definitely gonna try and still get number one because it's still in our hands. Even though the
hmm
point differential is not in our favor at the moment, like I said, this is still a week where one team's gonna get their first L. You know what I mean?
Yep,
So
could change the whole thing.
so if France beats Brazil here, we're back in second place. And then going into week
Yep,
5, if we beat France, it's a possibility now is a three-way tie. It's a possibility that we can take the top spot.
definitely, 100%.
So this is why this is a race that Team Canada is keeping their eyes on because this will tell us how hard we'll have to work for the next 2 weeks.
hmm
But on to the next race. We had our fill with this. We had a very, very, very tight race here with UK and NA. Man,
Yes,
if you thought Canada versus the UN was a tight race, nah. This was even tighter than that. I didn't even know who to root for, even though I was rooting for NA. But man, this one, I was on my seat the entire time. I was like, man,
same.
I didn't know who was gonna win. It was that tight. It was
Yep.
so good. I didn't even want the series to end. I wanted it to keep going.
Yeah, man. I definitely was taking as much notes as I could for anything stand out that I saw, and let me tell you, there was definitely a lot of standouts, man. Cause man, this was a very important match because
Yes, it
right
was.
now, NA and UK could afford to lose because they were both 0-2 at the time. So you
Yes.
definitely don't want to be in a position where
Where you're 0-3.
you dropped to 0-3. So both teams were fighting it out like out the gate, man. Like it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
Yep. They showed
And
they both needed it this week.
for real, man. And they dude, literally the first match, and they was coming out swinging,
Yeah,
man.
they blew them out the
Sonic
water.
got first with Mowgli, and they gets the top 3 spots. So UK already got an uphill battle off for it.
Yep.
Hmm? I know on the Great Wall, I know Has was going crazy on the Goofy. Um, on my notes it says Sonic gets third, and so it looked like this game it looks like UK came back. They came back from
Yeah,
the
they
first
did.
race because
On the spreadsheet I got in race 2. So the first race, UK did lose to NA 25-11, which is crazy.
Mhm.
And in race 2, UK bounced back with a 22-14.
Yeah, bro. Toxic and Ishnik, they both got seventh and eighth, which is not good because Ishnik is their defender, and Toxic is a very strong racer that usually gets a top spot for an A, so that was crucial.
Yes.
Hmm. But if you notice, Sonic has been doing really good as their speedster.
Yep.
The first race he got first
First
with Mowgli,
place.
second race he got
Got
third with
third.
Joy.
Yep.
So he's outperforming
Their
the other
speedster,
speedster.
but also he's
Mm.
outperforming the defenders and brawlers and tricksters.
Yep,
So,
pretty
hey,
much.
uh, NA, Team NA, I think you found your X factor. You got to keep Sonic on the speedster.
Yeah, I know that's like a class he really likes because, like I said before, he's one of the best Woodies in the game. So
Yeah.
speedster is definitely something he propels it.
And I want to say one thing. I know he was down last week because of how he performed against another tight race that they needed as well. But this week, it's almost like he bounced back and said, "I'm gonna right my wrongs, man." So
Yeah, man.
shout outs to Sonic because he really showed out and he really felt like he got a chip on his shoulder from last week. That's what you need going forward.
Exactly. That's exactly what you need going forward, man. I know. What was what was the next match? Was it Factory? Was Factory the
If it's
next
if it's
one?
not if it's not Factory, Factory is the fourth race.
Okay, well I know
I can check
on my notes
real
it
quick.
says I know on Factory Toxic. So like it's crazy because he didn't do good. It's like players are like flipping back and forth on their performance each race, but that goes to show that you know being when you have two strong teams fighting for their life, you know,
Yep.
magic happens. Cause Toxic got first on the boat people on Factory, but Has and Tyap got second and third.
So
But the
Factory was
crazy
the
thing
third
is,
race.
okay, so the crazy thing is Ishnik gets fourth with Aerial, which is not good because
Definitely not.
when you're
Ariel, you
using
should win.
Aerial, you have to win that race.
Otherwise, you
The
had
only
wasted
other
the pick.
time, pretty much, the only other time where you could potentially lose in theory is if you're going against another Aerial.
But
Because at that point,
see now
that's,
that's my thing. I think he chose Ariel for the wrong track.
I don't think so
I
because
think he would have been more favorable using the Ariel on Great Wall because it's more of a straight than Factory is. That means if he's leaving the pack, he's leaving the pack. He's not seeing them again. Factory, because of the turns, it gives a
uh,
chance for people that are kind of close to you to keep up with you.
I actually disagree. I feel like Great Wall has more curviness uh
Yeah,
than Factory.
well, in terms of
I think Factory has
curviness,
more like
yeah, but like in terms of like a straight path, for the most part, I think Great Wall has more of a straight than Factory does. Because you have
mm,
literal bends and turns with Factory. With Great Wall, you have curves, yes, but you're still more aligned on a straight path driving throughout not Factory through Great Wall. That's the only reason why I
yeah, but
chose
the
Trike.
map is so long though.
Yeah, that's my point. When you have a map that long and you're going to be using the aerial, you want it on a map like that. You
No,
just
that's
want
what I'm saying. Well, I was saying that for Factory.
oh. Well, either way,
I
I
know,
think she
I
would have been
know,
solid for Great Wall.
I know. Crusher used aerial for you guys on that map, but I think uh I don't know. I don't really necessarily think it was the map that was a problem for Ariel. I was watching Ishin Extreme, so I was watching his perspective and how he was using Ariel.
Hmm.
And for that specific map, he was like making a lot of mistakes. Like he
Ooh.
was bumping into the walls and that thing would happen where he would try to drift one way but it'll drift the other way and
Oh man, I hate
even
that,
he
man. They
was
gotta
making
fix that.
comments.
They gotta fix that.
Yeah, even he was making comments saying like, "Yo, like what's happening? Like what's happening to my controller?" I'm like it was like literally all of the mishaps that was happening on his part. Literally was the reason why he got fourth. Like I watched him race, So, you know,
Yeah, so we're
execution
saying,
definitely played a part of that, in my opinion.
so you're saying everything that's bad that could have happened for him in that race.
Pretty much. But I mean, he still got fourth. I mean, he was on aerial, so I mean, but I honestly, if you're wasting an aerial pick like that,
Yeah,
it's almost like you got last.
yeah. Ariel's
But
a cheat code, man. That's why I don't race with her.
she is,
You're
man.
almost
She
guaranteed a
is.
win with Ariel.
hmm But overall, I mean, both their speedsters got seventh and eighth on that map, so Sonic still got the edge on the other speedster. So technically, he's still putting in work. But
Yep.
then after that, there were two races where Sonic DC'd,
Ooh.
and it was actually really bad for the team because I know on Candy Kingdom he DC'd in the middle of the race,
And you know you
granting
can't
their
run that
team
back.
1 point. Yeah, and has actually stole first place from Falcon, and I think Falcon was on the Hans too. So, but Falcon beat the other Hans, so it was a lot of going back and forth. The Sonic DC has definitely hurt the team
Yeah.
because Sonic was doing really good, but at the end of the race, oh, okay, so they had a castle match. The castle match really like put NA in the danger zone because the castle match, almost everybody in UK got a top spot, and it
Yep.
was looking dangerous. And I know this was also the match that Shenanigans got subbed in. Um, they subbed Shy for Sonic because I guess Sonic was trying to deal with his connection issues, and it just wasn't it was looking spooky for NA, but
I mean, they did bounce
they
back in
ended
the
up coming
second
back.
race, the race after that.
They did.
And
They did
Shy
bounce
did
back.
play outstanding. So shout outs to Shy for her gameplay and helping Team NA stay in this race.
Yeah, man. She she tried her best. This is actually that was actually her first time being in any competitive race. So for her to just get thrown in like a pivotal match in the middle, it was it was pretty, you know, I can't imagine it was the best feeling, but hey, she put on, she tried her best, man.
And that's another thing I want to point out. Just because you're on the sidelines and you know you're a sub, always stay ready. Because when you can stay ready and you can stay poised, you put your team in a favorable position. Because when you sub in, you can contribute right off the gate, just like Shy did.
hmm Yeah, man. But yeah, and they ended up squeezing that one, man, cuz
Yep.
they I didn't take notes for the rest of the match, but I basically have everything in my head. Um it was down to the wire, man. I
Yes, it
don't remember the
was.
point difference, but I know Ariel Ishnik actually ended up beating Haz in the aerial matchup with a hair by a hairpin. Literally, he passed Haz literally right next to the finish line on the last lap, and everybody on, for the most part, most of the people on Team NA performed really well on Atlantico last match, and that
Yep.
actually, secured them the W.
So in terms of
You
the
know,
final
it
score,
was
it
fire.
was 148 to 140. So
hmm
NA came out with that one just by a slight smidge, which is 8 points. Like we said, it was neck and neck the entire time. And in terms of standouts for the highest score, Az was really keeping his team afloat with the 54. But NA
Yeah.
is very balanced. You got three races practically with 40 points. It does help,
hmm
especially when you got
Yep.
speedsters that are hardly gonna see 30 points in this entire World Cup. So unless you playing for
Yeah.
Benelux, because I don't know what they feeding that speedster over there. But
Hey, Europe Speedster is on crack too, man.
yeah, man,
Ramanja is
I
going crazy. Both Ramanja and KG Made, they going crazy on the
I,
Speedsters.
I don't know what is going on. I don't even think he's racing speedsters at that point because he probably bringing the characters from Mario Kart over into this game, man.
Yeah, man. But we gonna get into that matchup next. But last thing I want to say for NA, yo, like shout outs to NA for getting the W in a very pivotal matchup.
Yes,
Like you guys put on, guys are definitely showing y'all still trying to get to the knockout round, and it was fire watching that race. That's one of my favorite races of the World Cup so far.
mine as
And I
well.
do want to give a shout out to UK because
Yes,
UK they were fighting, man.
they
Like
brought it
literally, I had no clue who was gonna win,
for
and
real.
then they like Haz was going crazy on Defender, Tyat was going crazy on Trickster. Uh, a departed Storm looked like he a changed player trying to go crazy for his team, and it's I forgot who their fourth was. Who was their fourth?
Angel
Who's
Valox.
Yeah, Angel Valox. Angel, he was trying his best on the speedster class. As we said, the speedster class isn't easy, man. So it was he had a tough task ahead of him. But
Yep,
yeah, I want to congratulate all these players because this shit ain't easy, man. It's not. And anybody who's participating in stuff like this, it takes courage, man. Like, most racers can't enter Speedstorm competitively. So, hats off to all you guys for trying to put your team on your backs and, show out, man. Both NA and UK are both great teams. It's it's kind of a shame because UK has a really strong team, and it's just I ain't gonna lie, man. They just in a really hard group.
they are, but
So
I don't think it's too late for them. They still got a chance. They still got a chance.
it ain't over, man. But we'll see, man. We'll see.
So our last race, you know, this one was a very interesting race because I did not expect this outcome, but also this race was very tight as well.
Yeah, I didn't. In terms of outcome, honestly, whatever outcome happened, I just knew no team was gonna get blown out the water, man.
No,
Like from the get go, I always said both of these two teams are juggernauts. They have two of the best, strongest racers in Speedstorm history, being Maxi, arguably the best player in the game for a lot of people. And you got Hoodie, who is definitely, in my opinion, a top 5 player in Speedstorm.
yep,
So I'm not gonna lie, man. They they went at it, and it's not even only them. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Both teams are stacked with strong players. With Europe having Sothralis, Romanja, Marco, and Ferrari, and Benelux having Nelissi, Cedric, and KG May. So when you
yep,
have two juggernauts of teams going against each other, shit like this is bound to happen, man.
yep. It's like a
Down to the
boxing
final
match.
game.
You got two boxers
Yep.
that are undefeated. One of them's gonna get their first O taken. You know what I mean?
hmm Yeah,
We see it
man.
all the
Like
time, and today we saw,
we
or
do.
not today, but this week we saw it as well. And they left nothing on the table for us, and they gave us a good showing here.
They did, man. They did. I got uh let me let me take my notes because I took a lot of notes for this. Is the matchup I took the most notes
Oh, of
for.
course you did, cause you gonna race one of these two in the next two
Shit,
weeks.
we we raced both of them in the next 2 weeks. Like for they're our last two races, so
Yeah,
we
so
gotta
you
be
better be taking these notes.
prepared, man. So for this one, EU versus Benelux, Like literally, so many factors came into what team won. And just to let you know how close this was and why I took so many notes, literally a team won by 4 points.
Yep. It's the
That's the
closest race we've
closest
had.
margin of any team of any matchup so far. So that goes to show you just the if one thing changes in these races, could
It
have
affect
changed the whole
everything.
outcome.
Yep.
Hmm? So just to start off, I made a win counter because this is actually gonna matter.
Okay.
So I will say the win counter probably after I read the rest of the notes because the win counter is actually it plays a big factor in my opinion on why the team that won. So just to start off with, I'm not gonna lie. So the first game, Hoodie gets the first one, right?
Yep.
I believe Maxi got second, and I also noted that EU's brawler Marco, he was struggling, and it looked like he was struggling for the first three races because he got sixth, eighth, and eighth. So that's actually not good.
No.
Game three, Maxi and Sothralis get first and second because in game two, Great Wall, I believe Nelisi got first and Maxi got second and Hoodie got third. So by
Which
game
race was that?
four, that was uh that was game two, Great Wall.
Okay.
So in game three, Maxi and Sothralis got first and second. So
Yes.
this basically, uh, they're fighting. Both teams are fighting. By game four, EU has 53 points and Benelux has 55. So it's a battle.
It's neck and neck.
Uh, Also, up until game four, both speedsters basically canceled each other out in points. But in game four, Romaja got second place with Joy, while KG May got seventh with Vanellope. So this, it's the smallest things that will help get your team the points.
Yep.
In game five, EU subs out Marco, which is their brawler for Ferrari, to see if he could um, start performing better because things weren't going good for Marco. In game five, also Ramanja is pulling away in the speedster battle, getting third, while KG May gets sixth in game five. In game six, KG May gets fifth, and Ramanja gets seventh. Placements for both teams are still even. So KG May, he's starting to fight back on the speedster battle. By game seven, so after game six, both teams are tied 1-0 each. In game seven on silver screen, huge first place from Cedric on Trickster for Benelux. Huge. Hoodie gets second on silver screen, which is also big for Benelux.
Yep.
So Thralis gets third, Alissi gets fourth, Maxi gets fifth, Romanji gets sixth, Ferrari gets seventh, KG May gets eighth. So Romanja is still winning the speedster battle. And but after the silver screen match, Benelux is up by 6 points. Only 6 points. So this is how close the game is. And the last final game, Hoodie gets first, Maxi gets second, Sothralis gets third, KG May gets fourth, Romanji gets fifth, Nelisi gets sixth, Ferrari gets seventh, and Cedric gets eighth. So Benelux actually ends up winning by 4 points. And throughout the whole thing, the big one of the biggest takeaways is that EU's brawler seemed to struggle a lot, which
Yep.
I believe ended up costing the team because Nelisi was on brawlers for Benelux, but he was actually performing a lot better than the other team's
Yep.
brawler. And Maxi was obviously performing better than Cedric, which is both tricksters, but they Cedric did well enough to where it didn't matter as much because he still performed. He like Cedric got a win on tricksters, and Ramanja he was helping EU because he was performing a little bit better than KG May, which is the speedster class.
Yep.
So Ramanja won his battle. Cedric didn't win the trickster battle, but he did good enough with the points that he got. In terms of defenders, uh, Hoodie ended up winning that battle versus Sothralis, but Sothralis still put in work and he was getting good placements with the defender for EU. So even though he didn't win the battle with the defenders, he still put in enough points to keep their team in the action. So from what it looks like, there are two big factors for this match. EU brawlers struggled, and remember how I said I was keeping a win counter?
Yep.
This is how the win counter goes. Hoodie wins game one. Nelisi wins game two. Mind you, they're uh
Benelux.
both on team Benelux. Maxi wins game three.
Yep.
Hoodie wins game four. Maxi wins game five. Maxi wins game six. Cedric wins game seven. And Hoodie wins game eight. Now, based on all of those wins, the the team that got the most wins was Team Benelux with 5 wins, with Maxi for EU only getting 3 wins.
Yep.
So at so Maxi and Hoodie they counter each other out because they both got 3 wins.
Yep.
The difference also comes into play when Nalissi
And Cedric
and
get a win.
Cedric get their wins. So even after all of that, the game is only separated by 4 points.
And the only reason I want to add in is that it was separated by only 4 points is because although Benelux was able to get more wins, Sofralis and also Romanji were able to be in favorable positions to where even though they never won a race, they were both in second place and third place.
Yeah, they were placing really high.
Yes.
So
It really came
literally,
down to Marco and Ferrari.
yep, pretty much. If those if either of them perform even a place higher for each game or
They would have
two
won.
places, they would have won. So that just goes to show you, man, every role matters.
Yep.
But I can't even blame it's really hard because they tried to get the sub in, but it looked like the brawlers were just struggling. So I don't but that lets me, it makes me take my head off to Nelisi because Nelisi was going crazy on the brawlers.
But also
So
this shows it also shows a
mhm.
weakness on Team Europe that in terms of when they face top competition, their brawlers are going to be the weakest links on the team.
Yep, and that's
That's an
definitely
exploit.
something my team took note of.
Your
I
team
don't
or did
mind saying
you
it
take note
now.
of?
Well, well, okay. it's actually funny because I didn't know that their brawler was struggling. I
Mm.
found out this match, but apparently I let my team know, and the Hot Pockets was like, "Yeah, man, like this been a thing since like the first week." I'm
Ooh.
like, "What?" and I'm like, and he explained, he's like, "Yeah, man, even like the first week, their brawler didn't perform the best and stuff," and I was like, "What?"
Dang.
So I don't mind saying this now because I think by the time this comes out, we would have probably already faced
Exactly.
EU. but
So do you think Romanji should be playing brawler and Marco and Ferrari should be playing speedster?
nah, I don't know because the thing is, Romanja plays great at Speedster, and Speedster is technically
The
one of the
weakest
weaker
class,
classes.
yes.
So I wouldn't sacrifice that. I would just hope that
But
Marco and Ferrari just how to perform better.
even though that's the case, brawler is like up there in terms of classes. You wouldn't want to put Romanji in a more stronger position to get into higher positioning. Because look at it this way.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the thing. Just because he goes on Brawler isn't a 100% de
Translation.
facto that
Yes.
he's going to
Perform that
perform
well.
well on Brawlers because speedsters act way
Different
different
than brawlers.
than Brawlers,
Of
and
course.
Ramondre seems to have speedsters down pat. Now, here's the thing: if we put Ferrari and Marco on speedsters, who's to say they won't perform even worse
Worse.
on the speedsters than the
But
Brawlers?
but that's my thing though. If you're already placing bad for 3 weeks straight, like you're not taking a risk by moving them to the worst class. But I'm saying because brawlers are more favorable for Omanji to get into a top position almost every race, even though it might not translate, he should theoretically do better because he's on a better class and he's a better performing racer on his team.
True, but I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I doubt they're gonna switch that up because he's been
No, I don't
performing
think
too
so.
well on speedsters.
Yeah.
But it is, you know, one thing I learned about this match is that you have to try to get any weakness you can
Yep.
from teams like this, man. So I me being super analytical about all of the matches has definitely put me on game to certain things that teams got going on.
Hey man, in terms of analytical, like I know we talked about this already, but Brazil was definitely bringing analytics to the table. One of the bands, and guys, you got to take notice of certain bands. One of the bands that they made, which honestly, on paper is like I don't really care because I don't really use the character that often. But then when I second guessed it, I really went and analyzed. I was like, damn, no, this is personal. They was watching streams. Brazil for our race banned Pete. Anyone who's been
Hmm.
watching the Canada races so far knows that I'm the only racer probably in this tournament who's been using Pete very successfully. So the fact that they
Yep.
went out of their way and banned Pete means they already knew Pete. Well, they already knew me using Pete was already a threat. And the fact that me and Crusher could collaborate so well in a combination between Pete and Baloo was something that they didn't want to take for granted. So they got rid of that threat right out the gates. And honestly, I don't blame him because it's not like you're gonna go out of your way to ban Baloo. I mean Baloo, not Baloo. Baloo, right? You're not gonna waste a ban on Baloo. Although he's great. In terms of other races you can ban as a defender, it's a waste of a ban. But in terms of brawlers, everyone's just gonna ban the two brawlers, which is Hans and Calhoun. So Brazil knows they don't have to waste a ban on those racers because we've been banning them every week. Brazil's probably like, you know what? We know he uses Pete. They didn't ban anyone else but Pete. So that just goes to show Brazil was doing their homework and they was watching back the VODs and seeing me using Pete was a problem. So they eliminated that threat right out the gate. So any weakness or any strength that you can take away from a team or exploit that weakness, please do because that might just give you the advantage against your opponent for that week.
Hmm. Precisely, man. And that's one of the things I love about this, man. The fact that you could do your homework, it encourages teams to pay attention,
Mhm.
watch other matches, and try to notice what's going on in the matches, not just watching the matches. Um, planning for the future, thinking about possible people you'll be up against and what characters they'll be using. It's just a lot of this tournament is definitely a lot deeper, especially with it being a team-based tournament. So, you
Oh,
know,
most definitely.
you definitely want to be out here doing your homework. But yeah, these two teams went to war, man.
Yep.
Hats off, because that was an epic race, man.
And as we said, the final score for this one was 146 to 142 in favor of Team Benelux. So all in
Hmm.
all, this was a very outstanding week in terms of the quality of races we had, but also very outstanding week in terms of just the show we had.
Yep, precisely.
I know a lot of people who weren't really following the tournament scene so far after this week have really been paying really close attention and have even been asking about, what's really going on in the tournament. Throughout this tournament, we've been getting people joining the World Cup Discord server, but I want to say this week we really put on a show for everybody out there who was watching.
Yep, and it's only gonna get more crazy. We got more crazy matchups for week 4.
Yes, we do. And I guess since
Yep.
we're at the end here, the last thing I could put up here for you guys to see is the week 4 matchups and where we're going to be racing. So for week 4, Group A, we got Europe versus United States. You ready for this one,
Hmm.
man?
Dude, we are super ready, man. We've been. Let me just say we're ready, man. We're ready. That's all I want to say.
Okay, because I'm going to be watching that one. I'm going to be taking notes.
Of course, man. Listen, we know this is a matchup that tons of people want to see, so we definitely gonna try to put on.
Because depending where we finish out in our group, we could be facing Europe.
Yeah,
So
it's really crazy because like literally depending on how these last couple matches like end up happening will literally determine who faces who in the
in the
knockout
knockout
stage. So
stages,
even if you're confirmed to make the knockout stage, you still want to perform because you want to get a better placement.
exactly.
So, it's going to be an exciting last couple of matches before the knockout stage.
The next race we got is UK versus Benelux. And I know UK is going to put on a show because if we didn't see it from this week, we're definitely going to see it again this week because, uh, or sorry, I should say, if we didn't see it from last week, we're going to see it from this week because if what we got last week was a close fight, we're definitely going to get an even harder fought fight because, like we said earlier, the fight is not over for UK. North America is in a favorable position, but they're not in a strong position where they're holding a commanding lead of that fourth spot. So anything could happen in these last 2 weeks where United Kingdom can take that fourth spot.
Hmm.
And Benelux does
Pretty
not want to
much.
lose a race here because depending on who wins this week between Europe and USA, if Benelux loses, it puts them in an unfavorable position and they might have to race Team Canada in the knockout stages. You know what I'm saying? So,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? So I don't mind racing Europe or Benelux. You know what I mean? I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
Yeah, okay, okay. I
I
see
want
you.
all
I
the
see.
smoke.
Hey, that's what we in the tournament, right? Hey, you
Yep.
you gonna have to race strong teams sooner or later. So, you might as well get that experience.
But I love you guys. Seriously. All jokes aside, I love you guys. especially the
For
host
sure,
from
man.
Team Benelux. But the last race
Hmm.
we got this week for Group A is Peru versus North America. Peru, we've been saying this entire recording for this recap. It's not over for you yet. Here you have a chance to go up against NA. Use it wisely. If you can collect some points, do collect some points. Because if you can get even one win this week for the entire series of weeks we had so far, you just might have a chance to come back. North America, you
Yeah,
can't
man.
you
You
can't
never
take the
know.
L. You got to take this dub. Otherwise, United Kingdom has a chance to come back and probably take that fourth
Yep.
spot. So now is the time to lock in. For Group
Hmm.
B side
Something like
now,
that.
the X Factor group. That's what I like to call us. We got Brazil versus France. Man, if you think Europe
Nice.
versus United States is hype, and you thought Benelux versus Europe was hype, this one is even more hype. Just because you got the two
Yeah,
teams that still have their O. One of them is going to lose their O this week, and we don't know who.
yeah, man.
So you got to tune in for that.
If I make any predictions, I think France gonna end up with a W in a super tight battle.
And if that's the case, it's up to Team Canada to take out France.
Yeah, man. Team Canada, man. I got y'all work cut out for you. I'll say that.
Amen, amen. Don't let what happened last week define us, man.
Nah, definitely not. I know y'all gonna come out fighting, but because of that, I think France is gonna try to take extra precautions, man.
They better take extra precautions because I want them, bro.
Hmm.
I want them to beat Brazil just so we come and beat France. That's what I want. That's the more favorable spot for
Okay.
us. Because if we beat France
Okay.
and we somehow tie up the Poland in the last week, it's gonna be interesting who's facing who in the knockout round for the following week for week 6.
It is, man. It is.
Because Group A is gonna be looking like they don't know who they want to erase after that.
We'll see, man. I think it's gonna be exciting, man.
Most definitely. The next race we got is Belgium versus Canada. As we stated earlier, Belgium is looking to make a bounce back in great fashion too, just because they were one of the teams, the first 2 weeks that was 0-2, and they were able to get their first one, and now this week they're looking to take us out so they can tie it up with us. But Team Canada, sorry Belgium, we just can't take that L right now. We bouncing back, you know. We're gonna bring it to you guys because we know you're gonna bring it to us, but ultimately we need that dub so we can take out France.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah, man.
United Nations versus Spain. Hey man, United Nations, it's not over yet. We know you don't have one. But if your boys over here in Canada beat out Belgium, you need to beat Spain. This is gonna be the
Yes.
only way you'll have a chance to lock in that top four spot to go into the knockout stages. Otherwise, if somehow Spain comes back, Spain's in the position. Well, not really, but there's a chance.
Nah,
There's a
I
chance.
think it's pretty like I don't know. Spain is cool, but I'm not gonna lie. It's probably not gonna happen. But
You
I
never
still hope
know. There's still
they
a chance.
try to fight. I mean, you never know. You never
if
know.
if
But
if
I
they
know.
lose
Look
and
at.
they keep it close, hear me out. If they lose but they keep it close, even if United Nations wins, in terms of points differential, if United Nations doesn't end up having enough points at the end of week 5, Belgium's still gonna move on.
That's true.
So, like I said, Spain, even though you're in an unfavorable position, now is a position where you could affect teams. You want different teams to
Hmm.
finish out in different standings, make sure you take points from them.
I don't even think Spain care about that, bro.
Hey man, Spain, Starmondo, if you listening, take that as advice, man. I know you guys can do it. Take some points off of these guys. But yeah, in terms of tracks, this is what we got. We got Castle 1. Yes, we know we're back at the castle. We got some new tracks this week, so don't kill me yet. We got Jungle Ruins Variation 2. We got Kawhi for the first time, variation 4. So, Tricksters, guess what? Y'all get to have fun this week. Andy's Room 3, third variation. Atlantica is making a return, fourth variation. Was it fourth variation for last week as well?
Nah,
Uh,
we had the long version for last time.
oh,
This
yeah,
one we
second
have the
variation.
little yeah. I actually think this one is gonna be kind of interesting to see what people use on this one.
Most definitely. I'm going to be in the lab for this one. Got some things I
Hmm.
want to test out. But after Atlantica, we got Factory 1, as well as RB4 making another appearance. Can't get rid of Arby's, man. And then Candy Kingdom 5. Man, do I hate Candy Kingdom. I'm telling you, man. Like,
Nah, I feel you, man. But hey, I'm not gonna lie. Actually getting better with the timing the cherry bombs, man.
man, I don't even care
So
about timing of the cherry bombs. I just don't want to be in Candy Kingdom.
no, I feel you.
It just
Hey,
be it
I
feeling like you race forever, bro.
it does, but this one is a shorter one, so it's not as long as the last one. But so I know my team is gonna be prepared for the match.
Oh, you know my team's gonna be prepared. We gotta bounce back.
Hmm.
And last thing I'm gonna cover is the group standings after week 3. So for Group A, USA is in first place. They also have a point differential of plus 129. That gives them the edge over Benelux, even though they're both tied with 3 wins. And in second place, as I just mentioned, is Benelux with a point differential of plus 90. But even though they're third place, Team Europe, 2 wins, 1 loss, they have the highest point differential with 155. So if anyone decides to take an L in the last 2 weeks out of USA and Benelux, it'll give Europe the chance to get back into first place. So
Yeah,
I know if you're
can't
not
let
paying
that happen,
attention,
man.
and
Just I'm paying attention, man. You don't gotta ask me that. I'm with all things, man. Of course, I'm in the know. Man, I understand what's at stake.
okay, I'm just looking out for you, my guy.
I appreciate that, man.
Fourth place, we got none other than North America. After they bounced back, got their first dub, they are down in point differential by negative 34, but it's not bad. They're getting back to neutral zone. Fifth place is United Kingdom. Still haven't found their win. In terms of point difference, there's 2 more weeks. They can easily get back into the neutral zone as well. They just got to lock in. And definitely they want to lock in if they want to lock that fourth spot because North America is in a better position right now. But there's still some time. And Peru, sorry, the team that I was cheering for since week 1, mathematically disqualified just because it don't matter how many points they get in the next 2 weeks, they're just not gonna have enough to bounce back. And even if they get the fourth, even if they tie for fourth place, mathematically they're just too far behind for North America and United Kingdom. But
Hmm.
definitely try and make a way where you can take some points from these guys. That's the best way you could get your comeuppance. But
Yep.
for Group B, first place we have France with plus 146 in point difference. And close second, we have Brazil after they beat Canada in a great uh, matchup for two teams with no losses at the time. You know, Canada taking their first loss, unfortunately. But Brazil as well with 118 point difference. And then in third place, you know, your favorite nation who's doing the recaps along with USA, Canada,
Yes,
who's
sir.
2-1. Not too far from
Go
Brazil as
Canada.
well,
Let's go.
but plus 56 in point differential. But take this in because just how we had Europe, even though they're in third place, they have the highest point difference. Belgium in fourth place with 1 win. They have an 80 plus point difference. That means even though we're ahead of Belgium, if Belgium were to win against us this week, Belgium is solidified in the third spot because of point
Yeah.
differential. We'd have to overwhelmingly beat France in order to keep uh or in order to have the third spot. So this is why this matchup against Belgium for us this week is very important. But
Mm-hmm.
besides Belgium, we have Team United Nations in fifth, whose point differential isn't really favoring them in terms of them locking in a fourth spot, but anything could happen. They're behind by negative 106. So if we were able to beat Belgium convincingly and United Nations can bounce back, there's a chance United Nations could actually lock that fourth spot. So
Mm-hmm.
United Nations, y'all need to lock in. I know every race you've raced in so far have been close, apart from one. Just keep up that composure, and you guys should be fine. Spain in the same boat as Peru, probably in a worse position just because point differential is almost negative 300. But the same advice I gave to Peru, the best way to dish it back is to make sure some of these teams now in the last 2 weeks don't get the points they need to move on. But that is all we have in terms of the recap. Nano, do you got any last thoughts?
Yeah, man, I'm ready to get week 4 going, man. It's I think the recaps for week 4 are gonna be just as exciting as this week's recap,
Yep.
if not even more. So I just hope every team is ready because it's definitely coming down to the wire, man. A lot of things are gonna change after this week.
Oh, most definitely, especially standing. So you guys want to really pay attention to these races to see who moves up and who moves down and who's tied up.
Yeah, man. And I definitely want to say I appreciate everybody for watching and supporting, man, because we definitely trying to get competitive Speedstorm up on the map, have more people enter. And, for those of you watching, man, if you want more people to answer, just share the video, tell as much people as you know that play Speedstorm about the World Cup so they could tune in. And you never know, man. Maybe next time there's a big tournament, we'll have even more entrances. So,
Yeah.
you know, here's to that.
I mean, if you guys want to, throw your name in the hat as well. Get in the tournament, start racing as well. That's one of the best ways to get more entrants in these tournaments, right? So
Hmm.
that's all we have for this recap. I'd like to thank everyone who's tuned in and stopped by to support us. As you know, you can find everything you need to know about Nano in the description below, as well as all the casters for this tournament. Their links will be in the description below. Even the Discord for the World Cup is in the description below. So don't tell me you
Hmm.
can't find it because it's there.
Yeah, man. Anybody can join, man. It's feel free, man. Feel free.
But with that, I'm gonna sign off, and Nano's gonna practice with Team USA because they
Yes,
looking to
sir.
stay in first place. So I'll see
Hmm.
y'all in the next one.
Yes, sir. Later, guys.
Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you at the next one.